We are going to talk though about something that's been on our minds and just like in our client check-ins a lot lately, which is talking about what it takes or how to take care of yourself as a bodybuilder. So really this is going to be geared more towards competitors like most of our topics are, but I think it definitely will play a role for a lot of people who just want to be and perform at a high level in any kind of athletic, honestly. And I think it's something that especially people who are getting into bodybuilding for the first time, or maybe they've competed a little bit and now they have bigger goals, like I want to get a pro card or a pro show for myself, or like, pros out there, is the seriousness of that you have to take just the act of taking care of yourself from like every angle, from like health supplements to blood work to body work. So we're just going to get into all of that because a lot of people just like, they think they can just like keep doing the same things they've always done. When in reality, if you want unreasonable results, you have to be an unreasonable person. You have to do unreasonable things that a lot of people that are just Gen Pop type people or just bucket list bodybuilders, they probably don't do. So.
Yeah. And it feels different in your body. You're going to recognize a change and a shift in how your body feels when you train and what's required of you to train. And a lot of the things that I talk to my clients about is we're basically taking action and look at that's a nasty banana.
I'm going to eat it. And I know people hate it when people eat on podcasts.
And that would be part of what we're talking about is like, you need to fucking eat. Anyways, what I was trying to say before Rachel pulled up a nasty banana, if you're team green banana, comment below. If you're team yellow, that's okay. I still accept you. But basically, we're trying to optimize your body's ability to recover the best that it can so that you can keep training and keep progressing in your training. Because that's our bread and butter is like, we need to train. And so what that's going to look like is going to feel different. You need to, if you have to hit 500 carbs, you got to eat a lot of juice. Check out Rachel's channel for like her apple cider and your banana.
Someone commented on my story and was like, "Oh, I can't stand that stuff." And I'm like, "Apple cider is delicious." And I was offended. She was definitely talking about apple cider vinegar, like she was talking about eating it down. I was like, "No, I don't shit. This is just straight up." So, but it's festive because it's cider.
That's right. But it's things like, well, I don't want to drink juice. Okay, so then you need to figure out something else, or you just need to drink it.
Why don't people want to drink juice?
I feel like they think that it's just like not, there's too much sugar. Or I'll hear it's too much sugar.
You shouldn't drink your calories.
What?
They've been told that they shouldn't drink their calories, right?
Yeah,
That's like one of those fear monger things around food that diet culture has taught a lot of people, especially women, but people in general, that you should never drink your calories. When it's like, if you were a general weight loss client or weight loss participant, someone trying to just like be healthier and lose weight, you probably don't need to be drinking a lot of juice for sure, because you probably have more of a problem with consuming food or just under consuming the right macronutrients. So if you're drinking a lot of juice every day, but not having hardly any protein, weight loss is going to be a lot harder for you, especially because juice isn't going to fill you up. But that's the whole reason that we have it during like a growth season where we're trying to push food up and trying to eat a lot of food, because like, I don't like feeling really full. I like feeling like my stomach is tight. I like feeling like I'm not bloated or just like overly full of food. And I don't have any digestion issues with food for the most part. But if I'm eating 500 carbs a day, like that can't all come from high volume food sources that most people would deem better for you. So when I drink juice, I'll drink like anywhere from like 30 to 50 carbs worth of juice every day. And I'm drinking that obviously because I don't want to eat that many carbs from potatoes or rice. 200 grams of rice, that's a great rice meal. I don't want to eat more, honestly. So I'll have my post-workout meal, which is usually chicken, 200 grams of rice, and some juice, maybe some like dried fruit on the side, or applesauce or something like that.
Yeah. And that's Like I have one client right now, she, with her work schedule, she can only really eat like a meal 4 times a day. And that's how
Yeah.
much you eat, 4 times a day. And that's okay. But you need to figure out how you can make those meals work for you so that you're actually getting those calories in. And then you also probably just need an intra-workout carbohydrate. Like put like 30 to 50 grams of like just dextrose in your water while you're
Mhm.
training. That's probably going to also help your training. And the fact is, if you're stressing out about what you're eating or you're trying to eat volume, like you said, that's just going to sit in your stomach. You're not going to feel good when you try to train and you might like throw up, right? When I,
We don't
no, but like when I had, yeah, like when I had, like when I trained synchronized swimming athletes and they would eat certain things before practice and they would puke. And I was like, well, now we've learned our lesson. What do you need to figure out that you eat differently? And like nutrition is a really big part of how to optimize what you're doing and how your body feels so that it can recover properly as well. So you just really need to like hone in on those things. And under eating is also undermining your progress. People are really worried about overeating. And when you're a bodybuilder and you're in an off season and your goal is to get strong and gain muscle, like you're going to need to eat. And so like missing a meal and they're like, it's okay. I just like underate this day. No, it's not okay. You actually have to eat that food. And I've been behind on food before and I just make it happen. And I make it happen by eating low volume foods that I know are just going to sit well with me and I don't worry about it.
Yeah. I agree. In a growth phase, they're eating a lot of food, and sometimes like the day just truly gets away from them and they try, but
Yeah.
they weren't able to get it in. If it's 9 p.m. and you still have like, 1,000 calories to get in because you missed a meal or two, I don't necessarily want you to eat all of that food at the end of the day, but I do want you to see it as an opportunity to get better and do better for yourself. Choose better foods that are going to help you get the food in. So, like that client, for example, who I've had talks like that, she has a daughter, she has a business, she has a lot of things going on. So it is easier to forget to eat a meal or just like have to push it
Yeah.
off because of business and things that come up. But like she started doing more smoothies. And so like just
Mhm.
all right, if I'm at the end of the day, I know I need the calories. I'm just gonna have a smoothie with like all of my
Yeah.
calories in there. So I just drink it, it's done. And I'm not like, yeah, you're gonna feel a little full, but you're not gonna feel full like you just ate a whole plate of food.
Yeah.
That's something that I see people, athletes who are having a hard time in their growth season or having a hard time just accepting that they need a growth season is that
Mm.
nobody likes to feel too full. Nobody likes to feel fluffy or fat or anything like that. And so they're scared of adding the extra food, or they think, I'm just way too full. This is too much food because they're not thinking about nutrient timing. They're not doing things like drinking their calories or things like that to keep them less full. And so what I've found is if I have someone complaining of that, I'll look at their food and I'll see what they're eating, if they're doing macros and not a meal plan, and they're eating a bunch of shit that is going to fill them up. Like they're eating a lot of
Mhm.
brown rice, or they're eating a lot of potatoes, sweet potatoes, things that are just going to take up a lot of space. They're eating more than a couple servings of veggies every day. So
Yeah, I was gonna say like salads.
yes, big ass salads. Girl, you're trying to eat 400 carbs a day. Like, don't be eating a salad. I'm sorry. It's
Yeah.
just like it's not gonna help you. I love
Oh.
salad too, but like I love it when I'm in low calorie lands.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I think the main point of the food part of this equation and this topic is that eating is not just for enjoyment, but it's also not just for fuel. It's not just for emotional support. It's for a lot of things. And we need to treat it like something that is just a tool in our toolbox, especially if you have the goal of being able to truly be undeniable the next time you step on stage. If that means you need to grow, then you need to fuel that growth. The growth isn't going to happen with training alone. It's not going to magically happen like, okay, I took exactly a year off. They told me I needed to take a year off. It depends on how you spend that year. You have to
Mhm.
spend it on the things that will create growth. A lot of people waste their off seasons. They take plenty of time, but they're not training very hard. They're not eating enough food. They're not taking care of, like, they're not avoiding injury, that they get injured more frequently. So that holds us back, or they get sick really frequently because they're not taking care of their immune system. So they waste time in those off seasons because they're not taking care of themselves properly.
Yeah, I think like a lot of what we could get into the weeds about is like the basis of health. Just eating properly,
Mhm.
resting when appropriate, but you also have to train. I've had that conversation with clients. It's like, "Hey, yeah, I want you to obviously not train so hard that you're digging yourself into a hole, but like you need to train. You need to train." And so if you're finding that you are just going in your training sessions feeling not ready for them for whatever reason, you need to figure out what is going on, right? And it's like making sure you're getting enough sleep, making sure that you're getting enough liquids and proper sodium and hydration levels. You need to make sure that you're taking care of your mental health, but like you have to go and train. And so you need to make sure that what you're doing is optimizing training hard. And it's not like doing a lot of movement or more is always better. Like we've had this conversation. I don't know if we need to really talk about training, but like cuz I think we also talk about it a lot like on our social media and we've talked about it
Mhm.
in podcasts before where you really just you need to train harder than you think that you need to train. Like 9 times out of 10 when I see athletes feedback, training feedback, they're just their form is great, but they're just moving the weight much too quickly for what I think that they really can be able to handle. I'm like, you can do more. If the weight is moving really quick or just like it looks easy, watch your own training feedback. Be like,
Yeah.
hey, what would Jess say? What would Rachel say? If I was a coach watching this, what would I say? And it's probably maybe some technique, probably, that kind of thing. But it's a lot of times it's just like you're limiting yourself by thinking that you can only lift so much or thinking that you're only this strong. So like get out there, put the weight on the bar, see what you can do.
Well, in putting the weight on the bar, I do think because training is something we do a lot and
Mhm.
very repetitive. We're on the same program for months on end, and that can feel a little boring sometimes to some people. But what should be exciting is the progress. Like progress should be exciting. That's what I said the other day on a post. And if progress is not exciting, then there's probably something that you need to do differently.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean your program needs to change. It means that you need to look at yourself and ask yourself, am I really doing everything I can? Because you might be I think we only have so many check boxes in our minds that we're able to check at once. And so if we really know like, okay, my coach always says I need to do this with my form or this with my stance. So I'm going to have really good form in this, then that's all you're thinking about. So you're thinking about the form as if you're being tested on the form and not so much the actual weight and the progression that you're going to have. And so if you're only focused on form, great. You pass the test, you can be in an exercise tutorial video. That's awesome. But the goal is to grow, then you need to think about form and keep your integrity high while also pushing intensity. And that is a hard balance to get in the rhythm of when you haven't been doing that and when you've been focusing more on form. But at the same time, there's not going to like you're never going to grow if you're only focused on form. Form is great. It's better than just like throwing the weight around and never thinking about it. But it's not the only thing that matters. Intensity matters just as
Mhm.
much.
And a lot
And
of
if you're
that
not
comes down
doing that, then you're also not going to be able to have that intensity. And if you're not doing your mobility work, you might not even be able to get the form correctly or get the range of motion or train pain free. So I feel like that's a good segue to talk about more like taking care of your body mechanically rather
Mhm.
than just like what we normally talk about, which is physiologically. So like your nutrition and taking your rest days and stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, I stretch and do mobility every day. I don't stretch before I train. That's no. But like I do mobility priming, whatever. I stretch later in the night. That's a little bit more for like relaxation, but I tend to have a tight back, so I just make sure I pay attention to that. I foam roll often, but body work and finding someone who knows what they're doing where you live, like seeking out people either in the community, on social media, maybe it's somebody at your gym, someone who has worked with athletes before. Maybe they've also worked with bodybuilders. Maybe they're a bodybuilder who does like actual body work, massage, like needlework, whatever that is, and getting that done regularly. Especially, no,
How
I'm not
often
going
do
to
you
say
do
it.
it?
I don't know, like every 6 weeks, sometimes 4, It really depends on, yeah, and it depends on how my body is feeling too, because sometimes it feels more beat up than others. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get in with my bodywork person this week, or else I would have done it this week. But yeah, like just taking care of yourself and then even starting to learn more about your body or just bodies in general. And if you have something that is happening to your body, like something's happening to your knee, or like you're feeling some muscular tweak or something like that, become more aware of things that make it feel good and things that don't make it feel good, and be like, why is it like that, so that you can like circumvent things before they actually start happening. Because like you've had back issues, I've had knee and hip issues, and I've had to like backtrack and figure out why I'm having those things, why they're flaring up, and then tweak my form or make sure in my mobility or priming or stretching or whatever it is, to just circumvent, making sure that that doesn't hold me back. Because that will hold you back if you just like, oh, I have an injury and I don't know why. And then you're like, okay, well, you can't just remove exercises from your program and expect things to be like
That's
better.
probably the worst thing you can do is if you
Yeah.
picture yourself in training and you plan on continuing to be a bodybuilder, is to completely take out all exercises that make it hurt. And that might seem counterintuitive, but the thing is like, all right, what happens? Say you do take out every single exercise that makes the thing hurt. So you take it out and you continue training how you normally would with everything else, and it gets better. Great, you got better. So what do you do now? Do you just continue to not do those exercises and not get any benefits out of them because you're not doing them? Or
Mhm.
you bring the exercises back and hope that the thing doesn't come back? Because if you took it out, or you took them out to get rid of the thing, then do you really think that the thing is never going to come back? Because
Mm.
you didn't learn. You didn't learn how to properly load your back, your knees, your quads, like whatever. You didn't learn how to properly load it while it's healing. And so one
Yeah.
thing that I've learned over the years from various like continuing education, learning from physical therapists who work with athletes, is that typically, your very gen pop type PT or doctor or something like that, they will tell you to just don't do anything that makes it worse. And
Mhm.
that's wrong. And it's not my scope or my place to say it's absolutely wrong. But if your goal is to keep doing the exercises and getting the benefits from the exercises, you do need to learn more about what is making the thing hurt, what is making the thing take you out of that exercise effectively, so that you can learn to be able to load it again. Because hinging and squatting are very important if you want to grow legs. You cannot just live your whole life doing leg extensions, leg curls, and kickbacks. You're not going to grow that way. There's only so much that you can do. So like those are the common things that people will want to take out. Like, oh, leg press hurts, but take out the leg press, take out the squat, take out the deadlift. But like, I
I've
can't
been
tell you
told.
that we're told you should probably not deadlift because of XYZ back
Yep.
injury. And then they start deadlifting again. And we work on things, we learn about the body, we learn about specific personal mechanics. And then look at that, they're deadlifting again, 315 pounds, like it's nothing. Like it
Yeah.
is possible. You just have to actually want to heal, and you have to
Mhm.
actually want your goal, which if you really want your goal at the end of the finish line, you have to want the things that will lead you there. And to
Mhm.
want those things, you have to know, how am I going to be able to get to do those things? Most people are
Yeah.
held back because they're afraid of like the things that might happen. But if you're afraid of something that hasn't even happened yet, what do you think is really causing it to happen? Is it the thing you're doing, or is it the fear?
Yeah, the fear itself is probably like one of the biggest things that can help hold people back.
Yeah.
And in order to just like be a better bodybuilder, you have to confront a lot of those fears. A really big like fear that I think a lot of bodybuilders have is how it's going to affect their relationships.
Mhm.
Like not to segue into something else, but like, how your relationships affect you as a bodybuilder, because you're probably not going to, I mean, we're pretty lucky. You specifically and me, we have a lot of like bodybuilding friends and we're surrounded by a lot of bodybuilders, but that's not really typical. I think it might be as like as you like build up the ranks, but really like this is what we do. And so majority of people, this is not what they do. And you have to really be okay with just like living your truth as a bodybuilder and like eating your meals and getting your training in and going to bed and not, picking and choosing maybe those social events that you go out, or, if you're in prep, really protecting your own peace and communicating effectively with those around you. And I think a lot of people are just scared about what other people are going to feel or think about their goals or about like what they're doing. And
Yeah.
so then they just like don't talk to them about it, or they just create a lot of tension and anxiety inside themselves with like everything that's happening externally. And that's going to hold you back. You're not going to push as hard. You're going to hesitate on bringing your food. Your adherence of your plan is going to go down. And you're just not, your body is kind of living in a more stressed state if you are really concerned about what other people are thinking, or if you're just feeling like your relationships in your life are strained because of your bodybuilding. And the fact is, bodybuilding has brought me so much more to my life, so much joy, so much direction, so much personal development. And I like talking about bodybuilding in that way to people when they ask me about it, because it's exciting. It's a beautiful way to like look after my body and progress and see myself as this person who is looking forward in the future and have these goals that are like really internally has brought me empowerment and drive and excitement and friendships and career stuff. So I talk about bodybuilding as this thing that's really beautiful and important. And if other people don't see that, then that's too bad. And that's their own choice. But that kind of energy can just stifle someone's ability to be their own self and to thrive in bodybuilding and get to that next level if they're just not willing to confront a lot of those relationships or have those communications with other people.
Yeah. That's like, that's so underrated is like just how you speak about bodybuilding. Like we're talking about a lot of technical things here first, but like, just sometimes for me, like even going back to the mechanics and taking care of your body
Mhm.
that way. Like even something as simple as if I'm going to go train with a friend who's also a bodybuilder and we get to the gym at the same time and they want to go straight to the first exercise. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start with mobility and a little bit of dynamic stretching and just things like that that I know I need in order to be the best bodybuilder I can be. Well, like good for you if you want to do that work, but I'm not going to put myself at a greater risk of injury just because you want to get started and train first thing. Like it's just those values are not aligned. And it might seem like really silly, like, oh, you can skip your warm up one day, but one thing is like it could make a big difference. And it might be how you do a lot of things. And it maybe leads you to skip a lot of other things that are important. People just like when you're out socially and people say like, oh, come on, you can have a meal out. It's not a big deal instead of bringing your food or something like that. And so, but for me, like if I'm going to prep, I'm going to bring my food no matter what. I'm not going to just eat the thing out with people just because, oh, it's just one meal, because that would be against my value of like finishing what I started with the most integrity possible. And so
Mhm.
I think you said it's all about how you speak to yourself and speak to others about bodybuilding when it comes to not feeling tense or stressed about this thing that you're doing. Because nobody has to do bodybuilding. You can bodybuild and not compete, and you can just like feel jacked and look good and all the things, or you can actually compete and actually show up for your goals in the way that is going to get you the closest to your goals, because you can do things at 70-80% and get far enough ahead, but you're always going to know by the end of it that you only gave 70-80%. So
Mhm.
if you know I'm giving 100% every single day, then I know that I'm that much closer to my goal versus
Yeah.
feeling like I have to like make up for that time that I was going 70-80%. Or if I don't reach the goal I have, like winning the show or winning the overall or getting the pro card, if I can look back and be like, well, I did spend that good prep, that good chunk of prep, kind of like half-assing it. Or
Mhm.
I had those meals out that I didn't tell anybody about. or I didn't get my body work done, even though I should have. Like, if I see someone on stage or posing throughout their peak week and they're really just like wonky and their body doesn't look like it's working, it means they weren't doing their mobility. They weren't getting their body work done. They weren't putting all of the effort into this thing that, like, the whole thing is about getting on stage and looking exactly how you're supposed to look. So why wouldn't you do the things? Why wouldn't you practice your posing? Why wouldn't you get your body work done? Why wouldn't you do those things that make you look correct?
Yeah.
But because like
Even
people are like, it's not that big a deal. It's just body work. Like, I don't really need it. It's fine. Like, is it? You're the one that set the goal.
yeah. And it's so undervalued, just like these little tiny things. But when we're really striving for that goal that is so much more and so much higher than just middle of the pack, it's really these tiny little details that will set you apart. It's even things like skincare and like looking after your, like getting your hair done, looking after your skin and exfoliating and all of that kind of stuff leading up to, well, a show, right? And getting on stage and making your tan sit well and like all of that kind of stuff. But something that I wanted to like touch on in terms of that emotional and like mental self-care, because I think people think about self-care as like, oh, like we're gonna like, sure, get your nails done, or like, I don't know, journaling. That's important, sure. But it's like I see a lot of bodybuilders just like dig into maybe only seeing bodybuilding in this one way, like an all or nothing. And we're talking about like you have to give in to 100%. Like you have to actually like do the fucking thing at the best of your ability. Yes. But you can't like detach yourself from the rest of the world either. I think like there's an important part of making sure that your life outside of bodybuilding is just kind of like handled in a way that you can bodybuild more appropriately, right? And this is something that I've talked to a few of my clients about in terms of time management organization, but like allocating your energy appropriately to your lifts or your job. Like if you have a job that you're able to create your own schedule around, like us, I do all of my client check-ins as early in the day as possible because that's the time where I'm like most cognitively like free and I'm like able to focus. And training, I can just put off training until later because I can just like all my check-ins are done. I don't have to worry about clients checking in with me and I can really just lean into me and what I need to do, for example, right? And so I have a lot of clients who just really struggle to manage their life and things like their job and their just time management and organization of getting all of the things done outside of bodybuilding. And the fact is, when you go into a prep, now the pressure is on because you're going to need to be posing all of the time. You're going to have cardio too. You know, you have more things to get done. And if you're not taking care of all of the other things in your life and you're like, oh, it'll just like fall into place, it'll be fine. Those things are definitely going to hold you back. It's, you're not
Nothing
going to have a good
falls
time.
into place. Like, nothing falls into place unless you lay the groundwork for it to fall into place. But it's
Mm-hmm.
not just falling, you're putting it there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're putting the thing there for whatever needs to fall into place. You're putting it there so that that thing will naturally go there. But you have to set that foundation. So that's a huge reason why when we start a prep, I'm not starting a prep with someone who I've never of their prep in terms of
Mm-hmm.
I want all of the things to be in place already. I want your
Mm-hmm.
diet to be on point, your adherence, your understanding about food and nutrient timing and meal timing and your relationship with food, your relationship with your body. I want to know that that all is taken care of because I don't want to get to the end of prep or post prep and realize that it wasn't, that you didn't take care of it. I want to know that it was already taken care of. And we can always all grow, of course. Like, it's not like everyone's perfect before they start a prep, but you want it to at least be managed and at least be aware of the things that are going to help you or hurt you, like hold you back or drive you forward so that you just know what's coming. Same thing with like your training. If your training execution isn't in a great spot, and your intensity isn't in a great spot, then it's probably not going to get better in prep. So
Well, and
there's,
it's like health, like general health stuff, like your
yeah,
digestion. Like if you're
yeah.
not talking about your coach with your digestion, or you're just like, "Oh, it's okay, I only poop 2 times a week. It's fine." You're like, no. Or right? Or you have something glaring that you're just like not really sharing with your coach, or maybe you are, but your coach is just like not looking at it. There's a lot of different steps leading up to having a successful prep. And I want to emphasize having a successful prep, because a lot of people just prep and they don't have these things put in place and then just wait and see how their prep goes. If they actually do step on stage, good for them. But like, what also happens after? And a lot of these things are just building longevity in the support. So health prior to competing, or sorry, yeah, health prior to competing, so that you can actually have a like pretty good, hopefully successful, like you're setting yourself up for the best case scenario prep. You kind of, because you break a lot of things in prep, so then you have to repair them, but at least you have a baseline of like where that health is prior to prep, and then post prep, like reverse dieting off season, so that you kind of have this, like I said, like foundation or baseline of just habits, lifestyle behaviors, health, training, eating, like nutrition partitioning appropriately, just doing a lot of just things that look after your body. It's like those minor details need to be set prior to prep, and then you can prep. And yeah, you break some of those things like health stuff, and then you just can build them back up. And then you get to like do that staircase effect of building through bodybuilding, rather than it's like a slow curve going down. And then nobody likes bodybuilding anymore, and you drop out of bodybuilding and bodybuilding broke you.
That's that's a really important point right there. If you want to rewind, like rewind to that, because a lot of us see through social media that bodybuilding broke so and so. It ruined my
Mm-hmm.
relationship with food. It ruined my relationship with my husband or my wife. It ruined my relationship with my body. I'll never see my body the same way again. My health got so fucked over by bodybuilding. But all of those things are just a lack of taking ownership, a lack of taking responsibility. And sometimes it really is like, the root of the issue is that a coach made the things happen. And there are a lot of coaches out there that unfortunately don't care that much about someone's health. They just care about the win. But at the end of the day, whatever your coach is telling you to do, it is up to you to decide if you want to do. So if
Yeah.
you feel uneasy about something your coach is having you do, or if over time throughout a prep, an off season, whatever, if it just feels like things aren't right, then you have every right to decide, I need to take a break. I need to recalibrate. I need to figure out if this coach is right for me. I know it's easier said than done for sure. I definitely had times in my life where I stayed with a coach for way too long when they were leading me astray and I wasn't improving. I was getting worse. But
Yeah.
because I've learned from that time, I've learned the importance of just like going with your gut and deciding to take a break before you just keep going. I stayed in
Yeah.
prep almost the entire year of 2021. Now, I would never do that to someone, right? I know the importance of taking the time off, or realizing when your time is up, you need to start reversing and growing, right? And I've also made the mistake of going into a prep or going into an off season thinking the off season was a lot more productive than it was. And your coach should be able to tell you those things. So going back to what you said of, don't not letting bodybuilding break you, that is up to you. And
Mhm.
if you feel like it's breaking you, really take ownership and ask yourself, am I the one that's making it break me? Because there's so many people that do bodybuilding really, really well and they love it and they
Yeah.
can do it for years. Think about, like, if I look at Jessica Reyes Padilla, for example, figure like second at the figure Olympia the
I
last
was gonna
several
say
years in a
second
row.
one.
Yeah, like she's fucking 47. Like she started competing when she was 37.
Yeah.
And like if I look at Rhea, current Miss Olympia figure, she this is her eighth figure Olympia. And this is the first one that she's won.
No
I want to
way.
say it's not their eighth. And so and she's climbed up the range, she's fallen back, and then she's come back. And when I look at Rhea, I think, that's someone who has continued to see ways that bodybuilding can improve her life rather than
Mhm.
taking, last at the Olympia and then deciding, oh, fuck this, I'm just going to leave,
Yeah.
or taking 12th or 10th or whatever and feeling like, well, it's not what I wanted. It's not where I wanted to be. But like most people in bodybuilding lose. So if you really want to improve in it, you have to just get better at losing, not think that you just deserve the win. And if you're not winning, you're not succeeding. because you are succeeding when you're losing, just like, and you're succeeding when you're winning too, of course. But being able to see success in a loss or success in a placing that wasn't the best it could have possibly been allows you to learn and grow so much more so that you can continue to love bodybuilding, but also love yourself enough to take care of it so that you can keep bodybuilding. Because if you really
Yeah.
love bodybuilding and you want to go farther, maybe you didn't get the pro card this year and you're wondering, should I even be doing this anymore? Like, if you really don't want to do it, don't do it, obviously. But if you really do love it, then you just have to figure out a different way of doing it. You just have to learn in the process. Like, if you have a job, say, like you work a corporate job or some job outside of us altogether, and you go up for a promotion, you don't get it. Does that mean that you weren't meant for the job? Not really. It just means that there was someone else that was better for it than you. So
Mhm.
you're going to keep working. You're going to keep trying to pay your bills with the job you already probably have. But maybe the next time a promotion comes up, you're going to ask for feedback and say, like, well, what could I do better to get this promotion?
Yeah, I actually had a client check in. He's a lifestyle client, but one of his wins this week, I actually loved it. It was that he was watching his kid play soccer and his kid got winded. Like the soccer ball hit him straight in the stomach and he got winded. The kid got winded and like started crying and had to take a timeout on the bench and like compose himself. And then he watched his kid figure himself out. And this is like, I don't know, like a 7-year-old, like not an old kid. Okay. Figure himself out and then stop crying and be like, okay, my team needs me, and like go out and play again. And he was like, that was a great win. I loved watching him do that. And I said, you know what? We need to be more like kids because kids are so freaking resilient in the fact that like you just got winded. And this kid could have been like, I'm done with soccer. Like, nah, I don't need that. But he realized like in getting out there again and doing the thing again, you could still get hit. And that might happen. Like I quit soccer because I got hit in the face too many times. So like I'm not one to speak. But like you could go out there and just like keep going, right? My second show of the year at Texas State, I didn't win my open class. I really, really wanted to win that open class. But the
Or
girl who
you
won,
just won your open class in Florida the
yeah,
couple weeks before.
the yeah, Hurricane Pro, or well, it wasn't the Pro City, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, because I knew the girl who was in my class, and I was like, she's gonna beat me. She has way better glutes than I do. Like she like bigger glutes. Okay, cool. I knew that. And I was like, okay, cool. And I came second. But like that didn't make me upset about it. It was a little bittersweet. Like I was like, damn, I really wanted to win. But like, okay, she was better than me. But that means that I now get to be better. Now I get to like continue to improve. I think a lot of bodybuilders are just they're always the idea of continuing to always improve can grind them down. But like that's what it
Well, because you
that's
think of improvement as improvement in placing only. And
yeah,
like, yes,
yeah.
that is an improvement, but so is improving your conditioning. So is improving your
Mhm,
pose. So is improving your tan, your suit, all the
mhm.
things. Like, there's so many different things that you can improve. Like,
Well, and
take or step by step and like
yeah.
very situationally dependent because every show is different. Every lineup is going to be different. You might be
Mhm.
in the top 5 at a pro show one week and then 2 weeks later be in the bottom 10.
Yeah,
That easily happen because
we've seen it.
as good as you get better and better as an athlete through the amateur ranks to national shows to pro league to top of the pro league at the Olympia, like the harder it gets. It doesn't get
Mhm.
easier. It does get harder because the margin of error has to be so much smaller. Whereas at a
Yep.
regional show, you could not be in shape, still win your overall. It's just
Mhm.
because it's that big of a variety of talent and just skill and whatever. But then as you get better and better, the girls at national shows, guys at national shows, and then in the pro leagues, the margin of error just gets smaller and smaller as you go up the ranks. So that means
Mhm.
your specificity but also your ability to take a loss like a champion is so, so much more important.
Yeah, and that's part of detaching your worth from your current condition or your show shape. Cause like I've also seen a lot of competitors be like, well, like I'm not at my leanest, or like they really attach themselves to their physical body in a certain phase. And the fact is, like, if you want to bodybuild, you need to understand that there's going to be different seasons and you have to give yourself grace through different seasons, hormonal challenges like injuries that hopefully don't happen, but might. We already talked about all the things that you can do to like hopefully decrease your risk of injury. But like it's handling post show, right? Like there's a lot of just physicality to what we do. And so with that physicality develops more awareness, which is a good skill to have. But you have to also remind yourself that like what judges see on stage is a snapshot in like one small point in time. That's it. And so if you are so focused on that one snapshot, or like even we could like something that you see on social media or whatever, like that can get into your head. And that's just like shooting yourself in the foot. That's not self-care. That's like self-deprecation. Like
Well,
it
and it's
really
like
is.
reinforces kind of just like almost like a victim loop. Like if you're
Yeah.
really upset that you didn't win your show, like if you had gotten second at that show and been like really upset, like why me? It reinforces that, and it just like kind of continues to amplify your fear, self-pity. You wouldn't have been able to have a really good night that night with everyone else that was there, right? Like we went home,
Mhm.
we made some cookies, we got Texas Roadhouse, we had a great fucking time, you know?
That's so good.
And it wouldn't have been as good of a time if you had just been like, fuck this, I got second place. I've been doing this too long, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I just guess I got to take care of Jess. Like we
Oh
wouldn't have had
God.
it. I would have felt bad and that would have brought me down. And like I was high
You
up
were
here,
high. You were
but
excited,
all types of high, trust.
as you should
Uh,
have been.
but like, and it just like, it brings it all down and it's not
Yeah.
necessary because what is cool about being more grateful for hardship or grateful for losses is that
Mhm.
it opens your mind up to more growth instead of
Mhm.
fear. It shows you that like this can still hurt. This thing that happened to me hurts, but it can also serve me
Yeah.
because there's no way that you can't take anything that happens to you and not find a way that it can serve you, no matter how
Mhm.
bad it is. And I will stand and die on that. Anything that's bad that happens to you, you can find something out of it that you can turn into good or you can see as good, even if it's just helping you be more resilient because
Yeah.
shit happens in life and it's going to happen no matter if you love it or hate it. So I've been
Well, and we're
choosing to love it more. And the more
yeah.
I've done that, the more I don't see things as hardships at all. I just see them as like,
Mhm.
well, this is another learning lesson for me. Good for
Yeah.
me.
Another opportunity.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're in a sport where even the winners are going to get critiqued.
Yeah.
Like when you win, like, I mean, we all didn't hear it, but I heard and I sent it to all my clients Tyler's breakdown of bikini and critiquing Maureen, who won. Like, I mean, she won. Yeah. Like she's still going to get critiqued because that's just like the name of the game. So if the name of the game is you don't like that, then don't be a bodybuilder because that's going to be real hard on you. And instead, you can take that critique, like the critiques that I got when I got second and the critiques that you got when you got third at your fucking show. That was awesome. And you're like on this big win. You can fuel those really positively. It like me as in someone who expected to come first and didn't, and you who like had no expectations and got third next to Jessica, right? And who else?
D Jackson, also an Olympian,
Yeah.
who is
Yeah.
fucking 55. D Jackson is
Shut
55
up.
years old and looks like she does. Like, don't sleep on that. That is one of the most fucking inspiring things I've ever seen.
Mhm.
Like, both of them are just like crushing it. And standing
That's
next to them
insane.
still, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't.
Yeah.
But
Like
like,
you can take a
yeah,
win and you can take a loss in the same direction, meaning like this is exciting, let's go for it, right? Instead of the opposite of what you could do.
yeah. I mean, I was talking to one of my friends who's also a pro and she's a good pro. And we were just talking about the dynamic of competing and thinking about like what if I like, I've gotten all these top placings. Like, I really need a win. I really want to win. And now like the point system has changed too. And so she's like really wanting to win and worried about like I would just like, I don't know what she said, but it was probably dramatic and was probably something like, if I got in like 6 through 10, or if I don't get top 5, like what am I even doing? Why am I even competing? And I was like,
Yeah.
hold on,
Whoa.
that happens all the time. And I talked about how
Yeah.
it happens all the time. And then like she came down from it. She was like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I was like, yeah, I've been dead last in 6 pro shows. And not a lot of people even know that. But I have been dead last in 6 pro shows. I told her, like, you will never beat me in terms of how bad you can be.
I
Listen,
win at losing.
I have been really good at losing. So don't come
I
here
know
and
what
tell
that
me
feels like.
you're scared of like being in the top 10 instead of top 3. Like, you're gonna be fine. But like what those losses taught me, honestly, is just that, and like now being where I'm at, where like I had a really great season last year. I got top 10, and then 2 weeks later I got top 3. It was like I can really do anything. And but I could also, doing anything, that means like I can win. I can win a pro show. I can totally win a pro show. Or I could have looked at myself and been like, yeah, but I'll probably never win a pro show because I don't have the best shape, or I don't have like I could think I've competed for too long without getting high enough or far enough. So I probably, past my prime or something like that. Or like everybody else is also working really hard. So it's just kind of futile for me to think that I can win a show. Like, I could think that too, but that wouldn't help me win. So I'm going to do the things that help me win instead.
Yeah,
And
man.
like some of those things, like if I think about last season being as successful as it was, think about all the things that I did to make it happen that way. But getting to the next level means that I have to do other things that make me better that I wasn't doing before. So like one of the things I found, or I saw Rhea post, for example, recently, like around her Olympia, like Q&As or whatever, is she said that she stretches and does mobility twice a day. Once before her workout and once another part of the day, like in the morning. She's like, I never skip that. And I was like, damn,
Okay.
I should do that. Like, if she's doing that, that's something that's so simple that's going to help her, that helps her so much because she has such fluidity in her body and her posing. She has great mobility, and like her body just looks opened up, and yeah, it's partially because has a really great physique, but it's also because she's doing the work to make it even better than just the training or just the food.
Yeah.
It can't just be just the food or just the training. It's going to be everything. It's
Yeah.
going to be
I
your
mean,
food quality. It's going to be your water intake. It's going to be your stretching and your mobility. It's going to get body work done. It's going to be about, your mindset and your fears, or your conquering of your fears and things like that. So it has to be everything. If you don't want it to be everything, then you don't have to bodybuild. You don't have to compete.
and what I love is like you, and something that I've really leaned into is like, yeah, it is everything, but it's not that stressful.
It doesn't have to be. No.
It really doesn't have to be that stressful. And it really doesn't
Even if
have
it
to
goes
be
wrong, even if
that
like,
big of a
oh
thing.
shit, I left the house, I don't have any food. Okay, well, you know how to eat. You can have a more intuitive day today, or you can get some food while you're out and make it fit as best you can, or cancel all your plans and go home and cry. You could
Right.
do it.
Or like you said, you like, I missed a meal today, whatever. Okay, I'm either gonna be able to make it happen, or I'm just like not.
Mhm.
And, it's just being accountable to those things when you do just not level up to where you should be, but not in a way that is like self-deprecating or stressful. It's just like, well, I missed the ball on that. Okay, great. Let's do a better job. And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean like perfect, but yeah, it's just like, okay. And like for you, you probably learned a lot when you were traveling, right? Like you travel a lot. So you had to figure that the fuck out. And
Yeah.
you probably didn't do it great for a while. And then you figured it out. And if I'm being honest, you probably were just like, I'm going to make it happen. Cause that
Yeah.
also our personalities is like, that's okay. I'm just going to figure it out and I'm going to make it happen. And when you put it out there like that, you're probably going to make it happen because you're
Mhm.
speaking it into like I'm
Belief that you can. So your
yeah.
brain literally is like, your brain is hearing yourself. Oh, I'm going to make it happen. I'm the type of person who just figures it out.
Mhm.
Your brain hears that and actually figures it out because of that.
Yeah. And I used to live in a constant state of like, what if in my brain? And that just created a lot of overthinking and just like moving in a very stressful, anxious driven way. But I've now worked really hard on that and just shifted my mental state to that's okay. I'm going to figure it out. And that's been through like trusting myself and consistency and continuing to show up in a way that's like, I'm an athlete and athletes figure out their shit. And it doesn't mean that like it's in a stressful way. It's just you're going to get things done because you're an athlete. And that's what athletes do. And so when you can move in a way that like promotes self-belief and just that's the way it is. So I need to take care of it. You're going to be able to take care of things more and more. And you're going to be able to build these skills and then start progressing on those things because you just are going to figure it out. And it's not a really big deal because it's going to happen. Right. And so that's like one of the things that I have learned and leaned into even more. But, definitely the biggest change from my long time ago, 2020 prep to my prep in 2024 was just like, I'm going to figure it out. And my belief in myself, I could see the trajectory of my thoughts and my actions just aligning in such a way that prep, yeah, I had hard days and like it wasn't easy, but it was easy because I just knew that I was going to do the things and I learned a lot. And there are things that obviously I need to improve on, but they were opportunities where I just get to learn a lesson and then I get to continue to improve and like drive and build that way. So like that's it. That's a big part of your self-care is just your thought processes surrounding all of the things that you have to do and you just get them done because it matters. And if you want to win, that's what happens. You just have to get it done.
I think what people sometimes get wrong about stress management and like being prepared is that they have to be perfectly prepared. So for example, with traveling, like you mentioned, like, yeah, I traveled a lot. Like, I don't think I counted the times I traveled, but like in prep, while in prep last year, I think I traveled probably like 6 total times, like 6 very different plane trips, 2 of which were both 1 week out from Asia.
I was going to say they were in peak week.
Wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but it had to happen that way. But with those trips, like I planned a lot. Like I prepped as much of my food as possible. I would prep my chicken, prep a bunch of rice. I would bring some like oatmeal packets, like just basics that I would normally eat. But then like I didn't bring a whole jar of peanut butter, but I also didn't want to pay for peanut butter packets. So I would tell myself like, all right, yeah, when I get there, I'm going to figure it out. So, and same thing with like fruit and things like that. With some trips, I had a car, so I could just go to the grocery store. So I would pick up less, I would bring less. With some trips, I didn't. So I had like a friend cook me some food and bring it to me. Or I had like Instacart bring stuff to me. And then some things like I would have to like eat things that I kind of like found and cherry picked along the way. Like it wasn't it some people might see that as stressful, like, oh no, I'm just gonna bring every single meal exactly weighed out the way it needs to be. And if that works for you, great. But it doesn't work for me because I was like not able to check a bag. Like the little things made that harder for me to do. So I just focus on doing what made sense for me and what helps me too, especially with like my level of like balance to chaos to structure with like running a business, coaching athletes while also in prep and being my own athlete is that sometimes it helps to just not talk about it a lot. And that's something that I've found helpful for me is that if I don't verbalize how difficult something is, or if I don't verbalize how something feels really chaotic, then it becomes less chaotic and difficult. Like it's actually makes it easier. And I think a lot of people like they stress themselves out because they talk about it more or they ask questions about it more or they just like they feel like, oh my god, this is like there's just a lot of information and it's kind of stressing me out. Just take it step by step, day by day, right? Our language to ourselves and about ourselves, to us and to others, really does make a difference in our stress perception. And the reason we talk about stress so much is the fact that like when you were stressed, when you are anxious, it is your brain perceiving danger. So, but you are not in danger if you don't have peanut butter with you. You're not in danger because you have to eat shrimp instead of chicken, or you have to buy ready cooked rice instead of rice you cooked yourself. You're not in danger. So the moment you perceive that as danger because it's stressful to you, that's the moment where you lose. That's the moment where you actually start going downhill and putting yourself in a worse spot because you're perceiving danger from something that's not dangerous. And it's okay. Like our brains naturally are wired to seek out threats and like protect ourselves from threats. So it's good that we're like that, but it's much more of a survival mechanism that comes from just like when humans were actually in danger quite often, but now we're really not. Like we put ourselves in danger more often than not. So if you think about it like and ask yourself anytime you get a little stressed or anxious about something going on in your life and how it pertains to prep and like that do or die mentality, ask yourself, is this really dangerous? Is this really harmful to me? No. You can answer yourself honestly, and almost 99% of the time say, no, it's not dangerous. It's not a threat. I just need to figure it out one step at a time. That's what it's helped me, is just like learning more about the body. Said in the very beginning, it's so powerful, and it will help you take care of yourself more just simply because you know more about how the body works.
That's like a big part of nervous system regulation that a lot of people don't think about as self-care. Is just like breath work and like, I don't know, putting your feet on the ground, like grounding. I know that sounds crazy, but just like reminding
I
yourself.
spend $150 on a grounding sheet that I sleep on every night. Grounding is real. People might
That's
think
part of
that's
your like sleep routine.
but like I do love grounding, and I think grounding, like truly grounding on the ground with your bare feet, is really like it's really good for you. But I also don't get the chance to do that a lot, so I bought a grounding sheet, and I'm not afraid to admit it.
Is there anything else we want to speak about?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, learning more about the body, that nervous system regulation is like a lot of people think it's very woo woo and like doesn't really do a whole lot. But that's like, think about it. Anybody who thinks that, if you're someone listening who thinks that, like, have you tried it? Because that's probably why you think it. So, like, just try it and maybe you'll get better. But maybe you won't. Maybe it'll suck and you'll get worse, but I can almost guarantee you won't. So it does help. Like, what is the harm of doing some slow breathing? Just like looking up a breathing technique or going to your Aura Ring app and looking for the free meditation guides that it does, where it shows you how to breathe and walks you through a 5 to 8 minute meditation. Like, what is the harm in that? There's none. There's also no harm in like deciding to wake up 10 minutes earlier to take a walk outside in the morning. Rain or shine, I walk every single morning, no matter what. Today we went on a little bit of a shorter walk because Austin had and he actually asked me this morning, he's like, do you make it a requirement for your clients to go on walks in the morning? And I was like, not really, but like I should, because it's so powerful. Like it works. It helps so much. Like, because honestly, like when in doubt, if you're feeling negative or anxious or stressed, like just going for a walk outside, magical. It's the best magic pill you could ever.
I didn't get my walk this morning because I had a 7 a.m. like oil change appointment. And I honestly thought about walking outside this morning and about our walks outside in your neighborhood. And it's so nice. But I did not walk because the area where I dropped off my car was really sketchy and it was still dark out.
You can get a walk
I
in
was
later.
like,
You normally get an afternoon walk.
yeah, I'm good. I already went away. Well, no, I should walk by myself. I was gonna say I went for a walk with Jameson. It wasn't a walk. But yeah, I mean, that nervous system regulation and even breath work, but even just like you said, how you speak to yourself in terms of like stress management and resiliency. And it can just enhance your recovery, enhance your digestion, enhance just how you execute on things. I've talked to a lot about my clients, like when things get hard, just remind yourself that you're safe. Like take a beat and just be like, I'm safe, I'm capable. Just like repeat I can do hard things. Think about something that aligns with you and that just gives you the perception in the moment of like, I'm good. Cause you are. Like you're not, like you said, you're not in danger. You're okay. Yeah. If you have to go do cardio and you really don't want to, just remind yourself that you can do it. And that's it. And then just go and do it. Right. So there's so much in terms of like allowing your body to just move through these hardships or like these phases with more like a streamline and more focus when you can just execute like that and allow your body to just move through it rather than be stuck in like a stress state.
Mhm. Yeah, agreed. And when you talk about resiliency, I think it's important for people to really realize what that means. Resiliency is how quickly can you return to baseline after a really low low or a really high high. So after a show, you just competed, you just stepped off stage, you won your show, everything's amazing. How soon can you return back to your baseline after? Because if you keep chasing that high, you're never going to get, you're going to be miserable. And the reverse diet is going to be way harder if you're just consistently chasing dopamine, like
Mm.
fake dopamine. But
Fake dope.
if you lose your show, or if you make a big mistake, or if you fuck up something, if you get injured, how quickly can you return to baseline? How quickly can you bring yourself right back to where you started? And like, I've injured myself a lot over the years. I've been bodybuilding for 10 years, and you're never going to fully, there's no world that exists. There's no bodybuilder that exists that has like gotten to the top level without any level of injuries or hardships or losses. So like, yeah, people win shows a lot, and some people are genetic anomalies and and so it might look like they didn't have any hardships, but that doesn't mean they didn't. That just means that they are really good at immediately after a hardship, getting to work and getting back to baseline. So
Yeah, Chris
if
Bumstead talks a lot about that.
yeah, if you want to be your best, you have to think of like, all right, fucked up. Or like, oh my God, that was really cool. How do I get back back to the road?
Mhm. And the more like midline you can be throughout your journey, the better you're gonna do because you're just like not living in that roller coaster. You're not living the high highs because I've said it before. If you live the high highs, that's fucking great, but you're gonna hit the low lows. Like that's just
Mhm.
like the
You're
way
gonna
that it
hit
is. Yeah. And it's gonna be worse. And then you're gonna be again chasing that fake dopamine and chasing the high high because you're like, oh my God, I have to get back there. And it's just like this endless cycle. And it doesn't mean that you're not like, don't celebrate your wins, do that. But you're right. You just, if you can have more of like just a more streamline with how you kind of go throughout your life rather than a big up and a big down, you're just going to be able to kind of cut through the bullshit. Like if you think about like a bullet just going
Mhm.
straight, that's going to go faster than an arrow that's like all the way. If you're watching on YouTube, you just saw that.
Arrows go like this.
I don't know. Sound waves
Yeah,
do though.
sound waves do for sure.
Don't be a sound wave. Be a bullet.
Yeah, that's the TLDR, TLDL. Well, thank you guys for listening today on everything on how to take care of your body better as a bodybuilder. Hopefully, we didn't down too many rabbit holes, but we really appreciate you listening. If you're curious on like why we talk about things like this instead of just like the very basic things about bodybuilding, like how to make your macros and how to reverse, it's because this is how we coach. At Refined Strength, we coach with the athlete's mind in mind as well as their body. And a big part of being successful and having longevity in the sport, as well as just outside of the sport, if you're just a lifestyle athlete, it's because we care about this stuff and we have a lot of experience with this stuff. And we've found over many combined years of coaching that treating the athlete like a person and learning more about them as a person and how each individual will be successful in their own way based on their mindset and where they need to refine their mindset. We've seen a lot more success in not just getting people on stage and having them do really well because we do that, but it's like creating a better person in the process. If you're not becoming a better person in the process of bodybuilding, I think you're doing it wrong. So
Mm.
if you do want to learn more about that, and if you're interested in like hearing more about how we do that, let us know. Click the link in the description. I'd love to talk to you about coaching if you're interested and just hearing more about our method because it is unique. So anyway, if you guys want to hear more topics, more things from me, Jess, Daraja, or a guest, let us know in the comments or straight message us via the DMs. Bye.
Bye.